Welcome everyone to another hungover 2012 GP4 offline championship commentary by yours truly, George Roke. Welcome to the 5th round of the 2012 season, the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Catalunya. The last race in Bahrain was won by Mikel Gal for Red Bull, and let's now go over the race racing and the driver of the day. So the race racing was given an 8.6 out of 10, and it was a pretty good race, I have to say. All kinds of action happened, especially from the start when Ricky Farkas needed a dive bomb, a torpedo into the first corner, and that's what started an amazing race, which Mikel Gal eventually won. The driver of the day, was won by Oliver Glazebrook, who took a point for Caterham. I shouldn't call them Lotus, I still keep calling them that. For Caterham by finishing in 8th, and the tyre compound for this race will be the hard compound tyre. So we're at the Circuit de Catalunya. We're on obviously the current layout with the pretty rubbish chicane, to say the least. I could say a whole lot of more words for that, but we're here on the current layout with the rubbish chicane, which kind of ruins the flow of the track if I'm honest, but this should be a very interesting race, and it will be interesting with the grid, as you can see here. Roland Moyton taking pole position in what was a dry-wet qualifying, with Waze Kuba in 2nd, George Roke in 3rd, with Florian Volker 4th, Adam Wolf in 5th with Viggo Holst 6th, Felix Sontag 7th, and Roman Quag qualifying an impressive 8th for Caterham. Moving on to the 5th row of the grid is Zachary Fitzwater and Armar Carr. And the reason why there are a lot of these drivers are in the top 10 was because these drivers were the first lot out when it was dry, and the second lots did qualifying in wet conditions. So after Kirosima de Rosa, this is the following grid: Glazebrook and Thompson 11th, 12th, de Rosa 13th, Gal in 14th. But the following drivers set a time in the wet conditions: Alex Southgate 15th with Jamie Mackenzie 16th, Evan Byrne and Joseph Willers, not a 9th row of the grid you would expect to see a McLaren and a Ferrari. Rivki Harkrezane in 19th with Sean Grant 20th. 21st is Robbie Inescu and Franco Gamba, who had such an encouraging start to the season. Unfortunately, it's just gone a bit downhill for him, who is in last spot on the grid. So that is the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. So we'll have a look at the weather to see how what that is like for the race. And you can see it will be bright sunshine. I can't even remember the last time wet Spanish Grand Prix in real life. It was 1996, but I don't remember there ever being one in the GP4 SC, and that will certainly continue for this race. So this should be very, very interesting indeed to see how this goes. So we're about to go onto the grid in 3, 2, 1, and here we are. So we're now on the grid. The lights are about to come on. Moyton in 1st, Kuba in 2nd, Roke in 3rd with Florian Volker in 4th. Who is going to get the jump off the line for the long run into the first corner? The 5 lights are now on, and the lights are out, and we're underway for the Spanish Grand Prix. It looks like Moyton's made a good start, but Roke's trying to squeeze through the middle. He can't quite do it, and he has to stick behind for 3rd. Looks like Kuba has got the jump over Moyton into turn 1. Quag's made a fantastic start from 8th place, and he's going to move up into 4th place. Moyton tries to hang around the outside, and he does still hang around the outside, but he's going to be on the wrong side coming round into turn 3. And he's going to have to stick with 2nd place unless Roke can sneak through, but he can't. With Quag incredibly up to 4th, and that is Zachary Fitzwater out the race for Virgin. It's been another takeout in the first lap for him, but Roke's in 3rd, Quag is in 4th, Volker 5th. As you look through the order, there's Carr in 9th, and Wolf, who I think shot to place down to 6th. As you look, who else is involved? And there's a Caterham there, and that is Ollie Glazebrook, who seems to have been involved in whatever happened on the first corner, as the two Saubers are just squeezing their way through. And it looks like Sam Thompson might be involved as well. We'll go on board with him. So he didn't make a very good start. He dropped quite a few places. Well, actually, let's have a look at Zachary Fitzwater. Let's go on board with him. He made an okay start. But you can see Ollie Glazebrook just gets absolutely swiped by everybody, or swamped, I should say, by everyone there. Dropped quite a few places. And let's have a look. Was it him? And oh, yes, it was. He almost went into the Red Bull of Mikel Gal there, did Glazebrook. And unfortunately, he avoided him, but he went straight into the back of Fitzwater. As you can see, let's go on board with him now. He was so close to hitting Gal there, and unfortunately he decided to take out Fitzwater in the process, so he had a choice between which car he decided to take out, and he took out the Virgin, one of his rivals. And you can see Thompson then goes into the back of Glazebrook, which means that's why he's lost his front wing, and Glazebrook loses his rear wing. Not been a good start for the two Toro Rossos at the back, so the two Saubers either also got caught up in all this chaos. As we look, as they come through the first set of corners, they're heading towards the back straight. So at the moment, Cooper is leading, with Moyton still in 2nd place. Williams having a very unexpected pace this weekend. Roke is right behind as they come down the back straight. Will he try and make a move into the left-hander? I can't quite do it with Quag running in 4th there, just ahead of Volker. as they head round the left hand as we look through. Oh, and then a Wolf has spun. And what has happened there? Wolf has spun, and there's a bit of debris. And Armor Car is out of the race for Force India. So something else has happened here. What a dramatic start we've had to this Spanish Grand Prix. It's already more exciting than the whole of the 2017 F1 season. And Adam Wolf has rejoined, but he's lost his rear wing, so something's happened. There must be more cars involved, but Armor Car is out of the race. It's been a pretty disastrous start of the season for him. So let's have a look at what happened on board with him. So he was running in 9th place, and I think there was a bit of contact there, and he just went right into the back of, I think that was the McLaren of Viggo Holst, I believe, who himself went into the back of Felix Sonntag. He didn't actually get any damage originally for that. They had a bit of contact, but then Holst got hit behind, and then he got went into Sonntag, who then in turn went into Wolf. I'll have a look from Wolf's view, because there's the contact there, and probably if he hadn't done that, he might have avoided maybe the damage. He might probably still make contact with Wolf's car Sonntag, but unfortunately he couldn't do anything about being hit from behind by Holst and by Armor Car. But that is Armor Car out of the race. 2 cars already out on the first lap, and here's George Roque, who's right behind Moyton, and Volker making a move on Quarg coming into turn 1. As we go back down, having a look at the front, and then Roque trying to make a move on Moyton into turn 1. He's on the inside. Is he going to make the move stick? And oh no, he's not. And Moyton's gone off. He's lost his front wing. Roque has spun, and he nearly goes into Volker here. But Robert Quarg is incredibly going to move up into 3rd place. For Caterham, it's not going to last, but he'll enjoy every single second of it. Roque has rejoined in 5th, just ahead of De Rosa. But oh dear me, what a start we've had to this race. And unfortunately, Renault Moyton's chances of a win have now gone completely out the window. So, I mean, Roque was on the inside. He did a bit of a, you could call it a dive bomb. I mean, so unfortunately, they did try and turn all the way, but they both made contact. Moyton lost his front wing. He was lucky not to lose any more of the bits of the car. Getting back on the track nearly right in front of Volker, who had just also passed Quarg into turn 1 before. Roman Quarg is running in 3rd place, and Roque, who rejoined in 5th, just ahead of De Rosa, ahead of a whole stack of cars. It looks like behind him, as at the moment, Wes Cooper's got a comfortable lead. What a start he's had. He won't believe the luck he's had, considering he was probably one of the most unluckiest last season. Had a pretty disastrous run in the second half of the season after winning the Canadian Grand Prix. I think he only got like 2 podiums, I think, and he went on a run of, I think, 6 straight retirements. So let's hope that doesn't happen again this season. So as we have a look at Roque, who's just ahead of De Rosa, who's ahead of a Gal, ahead of Byrne and McKenzie, with it looks like Holst and, well, not Holst, I think, I don't know what car that is. That looked like another McLaren, but I don't know. But here, as Roque and Carr go past Moyton, and oh my goodness me! And Moyton's been hit, and he's gone spinning like a record, baby. And he has gone off the track, and he takes out the marshal for good measure as well. And oh my goodness me, that was a scary crash. I mean, that was probably around, nearly, I reckon about 180 mile an hour, that. And wow, so Renaud Moyton, who took pole position, he will be getting absolutely nothing today. What a disaster for him. His first pole position, I believe, in the OC as well. But he is still awaiting that first win. So let's have a look at what happened. So he got passed by Roque and then by De Rosa. And then he just got hit by behind and just spinning around really, really quick, as I said, like a record. And unfortunately, that record broken in an instant there by the wall. And unfortunately for him, he is out of the race. So he was hit by, it was Nicolas Gal who hit him. So I suppose, I think it was just Moyton just came right into the path of Gal there. It wasn't a particularly great move on Moyton's part. He probably didn't look in his mirrors there. And as I said, that was a scary crash. Went spinning right into the wall and unfortunately has killed a marshal in the process. And as we look once again on board, so there goes Roque, there goes Carr. He should have just stayed to the left. And you can see right there, there's the contact, there goes the wheel, and there's the spinning. Actually goes up into the air as well. He's lucky he didn't flip the car over. Takes out the ING, the oil company signs, and then unfortunately takes out the marshal there, waving the yellow flag. And that wheel actually bounced up right in front of Evan Byrne, who was lucky not to get any damage from hitting that wheel. And he spins off the track, and Renaud Moyton out of the race on lap 2, and any chance of winning has now gone out the window, but at least he'll be happy to get a pole position and show that Williams does have pace, because considering the fact that before this race they've been pretty much rubbish so far this season, as his car gets pushed off the track, as there's a whole stack of cars coming through the final chicane, led by Jay McKenzie. Roque at the moment in 4th, Quarg is still running in 3rd, but I imagine probably Roque and co will probably catch up with him in an instant, I would say, as here's McKenzie battling with Alex Southwick coming down the front straight, and is Southwick going to make a move into turn 1, and Willows tries to make it as well. He can't quite do it, but McKenzie goes a bit wide, and Willows can't quite make the move stick there, but now he's got the Marussia of Sean Grant, who's right behind as they come through turn 3, or turn 4 I should say. And let's have a look as we're on board with Joseph Willows, who's right behind Mackenzie as they're coming through the final chicane. And this is, as I've already said, the chicane, unfortunately I just think it does ruin the flow of the track a bit, but it still does give us a chance for overtaking into the first corner, as now we're looking at Roku, who's actually closed up close to Quag, and DeRossa's being closed up as well for 5th place by Evan Byrne. And now Willows is making a move on Mackenzie coming into the first corner, and is he going to make it stick? And yes, he does, and he makes it up into 8th place into the points. So the yellow flag is still out, and I think that's probably with Roland Morchin's car, I think, getting moved away. I think that's probably why the yellow flag is still out. As we now look on lap 7 as oh, hang on, Volker's actually taken the lead. So Volker's actually closed up to Waze Kuba in front and has taken the lead of the Grand Prix, although it's probably not too surprising. The Red Bull is probably one of the best cars on the grid, and the Ferrari hasn't been great this season. And well, that was a great move by Volker. Kind of got sold there by Kuba, or Kuba sold himself there, and he got sold to dummy. And Volker took the lead coming down the back straight, and he takes the lead as we head now onto lap 8 of the Grand Prix. As now here we are looking at Volker, who makes his first stop of the race on lap 11. So it looks like he'll be going for the 3-stop, 66 laps of this race to go. So he comes out of the pits. Where's he going to come out? Interesting. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out. So it looks like it's probably either going to be a 3-stop or a 2-stop. I don't think a 1-stop is going to be possible. But here's DeRossa, who comes in for his first stop, so he'll be on a 3-stop as well. 23 laps of fuel. As Holst is now making a move on Robert Ionescu for 10th place in the Sauber, and he makes it stick into turn 1. And DeRossa, who's going to come out near the back. Sean Grant is also in the pits as well for his first stop, so quite a few looks like on 3 stoppers. And they come out on track as here's Volker, who's right behind Roman Quag, who's at the moment still running in 5th place, but he's now got Mackenzie, who's closing up as well, as they're now heading through the right hand onto the back straight. And Volker will most likely make a move on Quag going into the left hand. Will he try and make it here? He's got the slipstream, he's very close, and oh, Quag's in front, and you could just see that was going to happen a mile off. And Mackenzie, oh, nearly makes contact, but he makes it stick past Volker. Quag, who drops down behind Southgate to 8th place, he's still in the points, but unfortunately for Quag, he won't be staying in there much longer. But it's been a good start to the race for him for sure. But he's kind of let himself down there. He just moved kind of right in front of Volker, coming onto the straight there, and you can see there's a nice actually bit of control, I should say, from Volker there to keep to not let the car spin round there. And he's now right behind Mackenzie as he'll want to re-overtake him. So Quag now dropped behind Alex Southgate in 7th place. I imagine Volker will probably make a move coming on to the front straight as he heads through the final chicane on to the front straight. And he's now going to have the slipstream of the Lotus, or the Renault, whatever you want to call it. And he's right behind him. He's going up to over 300 kilometers an hour. Surely he's going to make the move into turn 1. 320 nearly. Mackenzie's really defending, and Volker's going to make a move on the inside. That's probably not going to go well. Ooh, and Mackenzie is going to hold it, and he comes right out in front of Volker. That was very aggressive, to say the least. I thought there was going to be contact there, but there wasn't. But Mackenzie is certainly not going to give this up. Now he's in front. Will Volker now make another move coming round into turn 4? No, he won't. As they come around the long turn 4 into turn 5, and he can't quite make the mistake, but now he's onto the back straight as he comes into turn 10. Will he try and make a move? I don't think he can, and Holst is now making a move on Quag for 8th place, and oh, there was more contact, and Quag's gone round, and Holst has lost his front wing, and Quag's just come right back onto the track, and he's taken him and Holst out of the race, and the two Saubers were lucky to get away without any damage there. But Roman Quag is now out of the Grand Prix, and so is Viggo Holst. It's very disappointing for Holst, unfortunately, yet to get a win this season. And I don't believe actually anyone from who has taken a pole position has actually won yet this season, as far as I can remember. But unfortunately for Quag and for Viggo Holst, that is those two out of the race. And unfortunately, you could just see that was going to happen. Quag really trying to defend, but he should have known that really that his car just doesn't have the speed or the downforce or anything really to contend with Holst. And unfortunately for them, they are both out of the race. So we're going to have another look to see how that happened. Well, I think we saw how that happened. We need to have a look on board wise, because I mean Holst had made the move on the inside, and unfortunately you could just see there was contact, and Quag just for some reason after the contact just came right back onto the track. It just wasn't a particularly great driving there from Quag. Wasn't really great driving at all. So let's have a look at that again. So Holst was right behind Quag coming onto the back straight, and he tried to move on the inside, and I suppose he was on the inside, but I don't think, to be honest, for Holst, that move was actually really on. He probably could have backed out of it earlier, and Quag, unfortunately, just spun right in front of him, left him nowhere to go. And Quag, which for some reason just didn't decide to steer, he just kind of went right into the front of Holst. Maybe he wanted a bit of payback for what he did there, but it certainly wasn't very good driving. But unfortunately for those two, they'd taken each other out the race, and that's moved Robert Ionescu and Rivki Farquharson up into 8th and 9th places respectively. So 13 laps, and we've had quite a start, I have to say, to this Spanish Grand Prix. A lot of action has happened, as here we're on board with Mackenzie, who's still kept ahead of Volker for around 2 laps now since that incident that Volker had, but I imagine it probably won't be for much longer with Volker right behind. But can he actually make it stick, though, into turn 1? He's defended very well, Mackenzie, but he's probably going to be taking the life out of his tyres at the moment. And Mackenzie, as he's coming down the front straight, will Volker make a move? Mackenzie defends. Volker now makes it on the inside, and Mackenzie comes right across Volker there. Lucky that there was no contact at all, but Mackenzie still is not going to give this up without a fight at all. But Volker is now going to be right behind him. He's got the slipstream. Is he going to make the move stick now? Mackenzie defends again. He really isn't giving up, but he goes a bit wide though, and unfortunately I think he might have conceded that position, or has he? He's still hanging around the outside. Has he got it? No, and yes he has. Volker has now got the position, but that was certainly not as easy as he'd hoped. So now here we are looking at Rivki Farquharson, who's running in 8th place at the moment, who's running just ahead of Nicolas Gal, who's going to try and make a move on him down the front straight, and here he goes. Surely he's got this into turn 1, and he's got Robert Ionescu in front of him as well, who will pass after that, well, depending on if Ionescu defends or not, or if they have a collision. But Nicolas Gal makes it stick. He's into P9, and he's now going to go after Ionescu for the last point spot, as we now look at Waze Kuba, who's going in for his first stop of the race. I imagine going in at this time, I think he's probably still going to do a 3-stop, I think. So let's see how much fuel they put into the car. Only had 2 laps left, so we're short 25. I reckon I could maybe do a 2-stop. I don't know. I think it would probably be a 3-stop though. I think probably need to go above lap 20. I think if you want to do a 2, and if you're below that, I think it'll certainly be a 3. I don't think the tyres will particularly last in this scorching Spanish heat. As we look at Kuba, who's just going to come out ahead of Volker, so that could be important for the end of the race. Now here we are looking at, I believe this is, I think this is, it's actually Carosma de Rosa, who is running all the way down in P14. I don't know what's happening to him at the moment, but he's really off the pace. He was running in P5 at the start, right behind Rope, but he now actually gets overtaken by Sean Grant there in the Mauritius. A good move there by the Irishman. And he makes the move stick, and oh, there's a Red Bull around, and I think that's Volker, I believe. And he has spun round, coming through at the end of the back straight. So he's had a collision with, who is it? And it was actually, I think, Waze Kuba coming out of the pits. So after he came out of the pits, so let's see what happens. So Volker tried to, I think, maybe tried to do the exact same move as he did before, but I think it was just a bit late, and he went into the back of the Ferrari, and unfortunately spun there. And luckily enough for Kuba, he's kept going, but for Volker, that could impact him come the end of the race. So he will have to pit, so he'll lose a lot of time when he pits, as now George Roque is going to come in for his first stop of the race. I imagine he'll be on a 3-stop as well, and there's only 20 laps, so I think for sure he will be doing a 3-stop, so I don't know if the 3-stop really is necessarily going to be the way to go. I think if anything, it has to be, I think, the 2-stop, I would say. So Roque comes out the pits. Where's he going to come out? Interestingly, is he going to come out ahead of Southgate or behind him? He comes out behind Southgate. Now here we are looking at Nicolas Gal, who's right behind Southgate with Roque not too far behind either. So here's Kuba running in P3, coming around the final chicane. Mackenzie, who's right behind, makes a bit of a mistake, locks up and goes slightly wide, coming through the right-hander. So let's see what's happened. Let's see again what happened there. So Mackenzie was right behind Kuba, who seems to be struggling a fair bit for pace since he's come out of the pits. And unfortunately for Mackenzie, who was attacking him, he made a bit of a mistake there. And now he's dropped a fair distance behind. So now Alex Southgate is going to come into the pits for his first stop of the race. Possibly a 2-stop. I don't know. Let's see how this goes, really. So see how much fuel they put into his car. and it's 29, so I reckon that's probably a 2-stop, I think. I would say that's 29, it's going to be 30 laps. Yeah, I mean, that should be a 2-stop. I don't really see why they would make it a 3-stop. That would be quite ludicrous, really, from Mercedes. As we look at Alex Southgate, who's coming out the pits, and there's a battle going on between Adam Wolff and Franco Gamba for 11th place. And is Wolff going to make the move stick side by side between the two, coming around turn 1, now turn 2, and coming into turn 3, but Gamba, I think, just about holds the place there as they come through turn 3, but now into turn 4, will Gamba be able to hold on for much longer? Wolff tries to make him on the inside, but Gamba goes right in front of him there and holds the position. So here is Kuba, who is running in 3rd, Mackenzie just behind in 4th, with Volker in 5th, or Gal in 5th I should say, and Mackenzie, he's going a bit wide, going into around the first corner, and now Gal is surely going to make the move stick, is he? It's side by side coming through turn 3, and yes, he has made the move stick, and Mackenzie tries to attack back, but he can't quite do it as they come round into the right-hander. And now here comes Joseph Willows, who comes in for his first stop, I believe, of the race. He's got up all the way up into P2, something we actually haven't really seen. We haven't seen him much during this race, but I imagine he'll be doing a 2-stop strategy. I think that would work the best, and it's 26 laps, so I think that is going to be a 2-stop for sure. And let's see where he comes out on track. We should see actually what his pace is, because he's got all the way up into P2, and he's obviously got quite far ahead of Kuba, so I wonder if Willows actually could be up near the front by the time it comes to the end. As Willows comes out, he does come up behind Kuba, and he will come up behind Gal. Will he come out ahead of Mackenzie on the track? Be interesting to see, and the answer is he does just about. That was very close, but Willows has brought himself into contention here on the 2-stop. It doesn't look like at the moment that the 3-stop for it. Oh no, Willows has gone off. And Willows has gone off round turn 3, and he's gone way into the gravel, and he somehow avoided the wall. And I was just saying that he had a chance maybe of winning this race, but I think he might, well, certainly getting a podium, but certainly winning this race has now gone out of the window. So that was really bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen, actually. Remember the last time anyone came out of the pits and just a couple of corners later spun. So let's have a look. So he came around turns 1 and 2, then coming around turn 3, obviously on cold tyres, just goes a bit wide and then goes onto the Astro. And he thought he'd saved it, but then unfortunately the car just corrected itself, tried to correct it, and he went off. And I think he actually just managed to avoid the barriers, and now he gets now he rejoins on the track, so he's dropped all the way down to P7. So let's have a look again. Well, that was quite a scary spin there. So let's have a look at McKinney. You can see he goes wide there, and then he goes off, and he's lucky nearly not to take out Mackenzie on one, but that's still quite a scary spin to say the least. So it goes wide onto the Astro, and then spins, and it looked like he might have been able to correct it, but unfortunately he let himself down, and he almost did it there, but unfortunately he tried to correct it just a bit too quickly, and that meant he went off the track. And he's fortunate that he managed to keep it out of the wall. And let's see if that affects him come the end of the race. I imagine it probably will, pretty significantly, I'd say. As now here comes Miklos Gal, who's going past Waze Kuba here, so Kuba's pace just isn't really there at the moment. It's just not working out for him, having taken lead. I mean, Volker passed him, but you thought maybe after the pit stop he might have a bit of extra power in him, but he just doesn't seem to have that at the moment. Evan Byrne is actually still up front, and he's going in for his first stop of the race. We haven't seen him all race, so it looks like that he will be doing one more stop before the end, so he's on a 2-stop as well. So let's see where he comes out actually on track. It'll be interesting to see. He's actually at the front here, Evan Byrne, something we haven't seen. So where's he going to come out actually? Will he stay in P1, or will he come up behind Gal? And there is Gal actually. So Evan Byrne is going to come out in the lead. He will be the leader of this race. And so it looks like for Evan Byrne, staying out longer on the 2-stop has worked out really well in his favour. As now Miklos Gal comes in for his next pit stop, and let's see how much fuel they put in. And I don't think it said that he would go to the end. Mackenzie, no, he'll make one more stop, so he's on the 3. So Mackenzie, he'll make one more stop before the end as well. And let's see where he comes out on track. He's going to come out, looks like, behind the 2 Saubers. And yes, he will, as Ionescu has just gone past on the screen. As now we look at George Roque, who's at the moment running in P3, but he'll have to pit in a few, and I reckon probably a few laps time, as he's probably on the 3-stop. So here's Miklos Gal and Robbie Ionescu, and there's contact, and Ionescu's gone wide, coming into the end of the back straight, and he's going to lose a lot of time, and probably, I imagine, a couple of positions, I would say. He's lost already a couple. Will he lose any more? Doesn't look like it, but he's lost already a couple of positions there. So we need to have a look at that again to see if there was anyone to blame for that, or maybe not, as we're now going to look at Florian Volker, who is coming into the pits, and let's see where he comes out on track. So he's 27, so it looks like he's going to go to the end of this race. 10, 20... Actually, no, he's not. He's actually not. I just calculated in my head that he won't actually, in fact, go to the end of the race. So he's going to have to pit again. So, I mean, the team could have tried to put him to the end, but I guess not. As now here is, I think, George Roke, that's right, who's closing up to Kuba. Now here's the two Red Bulls battling. Let's hope they don't collide with each other again. We'd rather not see that happen. And it won't happen this time around, as now Gal makes his move on Volker for P7. And now it looks like this is George Roke coming in for his second stop. Will he go to the end? Will be interesting to see. This will be interesting to see. I mean, he could go to the end. It's only 30 laps. So let's see what the team decide to do. And will Roke go to the end? I think it would be better if he did, to be honest. And the answer is no, he won't go to the end. So Renault are not going to. So certainly for Lotus, they're not going to go to the end here. That's probably not what Roke wanted, and I don't think that's the right strategy, to be honest. I think going to the end at this point would have been a better option, but well, we don't know what George Roke's pace is going to be like. So he comes out of the pits, looks like behind Volker, and Robbie Inescu is running in ninth. As now Ricky Parkinson comes into the pits, will he go to the end or not? Will be interesting to see. And he comes in. Where will he come out? And will he go to the end? Actually, will be interesting to see. And does he go to the end? The answer is yes, he will. He will go to the end. 32 laps of fuel. So I think that's probably a bit frustrating for Roke. Maybe if he pitted a couple laps later, he could have gone in. He probably could have gone maybe another lap or two. But George Roke, unfortunately, is not going to the end, and I think that could cost him dearly. Ricky Parkinson might have got himself up a few positions here with going to the end. Be interesting to see where he finishes at the end of the race. But now Waze Kuba comes in. Will he go to the end or not? I think, as I said, it probably would be better if he did. And let's see what Ferrari decide to do. And he comes in. Will they fuel him to the end? 3, 2, 1. No, they don't. And I think that's a mistake from Ferrari. And Kuba's pace has not been that great, so I don't think Kuba's. Well, he's certainly not going to get a podium. Where is he actually going to finish? I don't know, but that is definitely not the right strategy call from Ferrari. And usually it's McLaren who have the rubbish ones, but Ferrari have made a bit of a dud there. And Kuba will come out ahead of Roke into turn 1. And Roke will have probably maybe another chance to attack him. Now Robbie Inescu, who's quite low on fuel, he will go to the end of the race for Sauber. So both Saubers seem to have worked it out, but pretty much it doesn't look like anyone else has. Although maybe Evan Byrne, maybe Willows, I'm not sure. But aside from that, I think the two Saubers and certainly Evan Byrne have worked it out correctly. But for the rest of the field, they just haven't really. The strategies have not worked for them. So there'll be a lot of head scratching at the end of the race. So Willows, he comes into the pits and he will go to the end. So he's gone quite late. So for Willows and certainly for Evan Byrne, their strategy has really worked out very well. They've kind of done over the rest of the field, you could have to say. But Evan Byrne's got a very, very comfortable lead. Willows will be going to the end, but Gal, I think, will have to pit. So it looks like Willows will still get second place. But I think the big thing is, it looks like that spin that Willows had might have cost him the victory here, because Byrne has got a pretty decent gap at the front of the field. And now here is Nicolas Gal, who comes in to make his third and final stop of the race. And I mean, Gal seems to have had some fairly encouraging pace, but the three stop I don't think really was the ideal situation to do, although I suppose he did have to pit after losing his front wing early on. So let's see where he comes out on track. He's going to come up behind George Roke, but he has to pit before the end anyway. And it looks like he'll come out ahead of Mackenzie. Yes, he will, because Mackenzie's only just coming past the start-finish line. So Nicolas Gal looking pretty good at the moment, as now Waze Kuba comes in for his final stop of the race. Lap 54, so it's quite late. But unfortunately for Kuba, who was leading, the 3-stop hasn't worked out well for him, really. And to be honest, the pace from him either hasn't been particularly good, which is I think another major reason why he's dropped down the field. as he now does in fact come out the pits. Will he come out ahead of George Roke? Actually, interestingly, those two have been having it at it all race, and it looks like Kuba is just going to come out ahead of Roke with the Sauber of, I think that is Rivki Harkrasane just behind as well. So that could be an interesting battle at the end of the race. We'll see. Volker comes in for his final stop. Where will he come out on track will be the interesting thing. And well, he's certainly going to come out P4. Will he come out behind Mackenzie or will he come out ahead of Mackenzie? Interesting to see. And he comes out actually behind, but he's right behind Mackenzie, so he's going to have a chance to attack him. But actually, no, I think Volker has already got past Mackenzie, I think. And oh, Adam Wolf has retired from this race, and that is at the, where's that? Oh, that's actually at the final corner, coming onto the pit straight, just past the pit entrance. So something has happened there, obviously, to Wolf. His car's now finally been pushed away. His car's had to slow down at 4 yellow flags. So what happened to Adam Wolf here? And he seemed to be, and he was running kind of on his own in 10th. I don't think he was really ever going to get any points. But the problem was started nearly right at the start of the lap, so could have easily got into the pits if he really wanted to. And it was I think I said it was a throttle problem, which has forced him to retire. So obviously the problem did get too terminal for him to continue. He was running in 10th place. I don't think he was really going to get any points at this race, but he was still going to get a top 10, which I guess it's not too bad for Williams. I think you could probably say, considering their car hasn't been the greatest this season. Although certainly this race, it certainly had the pace, and Wolf obviously got involved in the collision with Armar Carr at the start, which is the reason why he is only in 10th. He probably could have got some decent point stakes. Both Williams had good paced cars as he comes onto the back straight, and the problem still continuing, and obviously he nearly made it all the way to the pits, but that is when unfortunately the problem became too terminal. And so let's see actually how we managed to pull off just after the pit entry, because he, as I said, he could have easily gone into the pits and still continued, although there probably would have been no point anyway, because he wasn't really going to get any points or anything like that out of this race. So let's see, as he was coming into the chicane, and as he was about to come in, and oh, he just goes wide there, so he obviously does have major throttle problems, and oh my god, and he goes into the wall there. So I guess maybe the throttle's stuck open, I think there. That was a bit of a weird problem there, and that wheel actually is resting right in the entrance of the pit lane. But that was quite a bizarre problem there for Adam Wolf. But obviously the throttle, as I said, must have stuck open there. It's probably why he went wide there. He tried locking up and he just couldn't, and then the car just went into a mind of its own. And unfortunately for Adam Wolf, he retires from the Grand Prix. It's been what was a promising weekend for Williams has unfortunately not delivered. But here is your race leader, Evan Byrne, and there actually is Joseph Willows just coming through the first chicane as well. So just imagine if Willows hadn't spun after his first pit stop, he could easily have won this race, and that spin for sure has cost him the victory here, unless Evan Byrne makes a major mistake. But for Evan Byrne and Willows, with these two, their strategies were by far better than anyone else. They went on the 2-stop, and they both went quite late. They both went quite late on their first stints, and that really paid dividends, because everyone else, well, I think most people did 3 stops. A few did a 2-stop, but they managed to execute it to perfection, and it has worked out very, very well indeed. Evan Byrne, who took his first victory of the season in China, well, looks like he'll take his second of the season, and he said in the final race of the current helmet that he is wearing as he's about to come into the final chicane. It didn't look like a very good qualifying. It wasn't a good qualifying, I should say, for Byrne and Willows, and we had no idea what was going to happen this race. But as Evan Byrne comes round the final chicane, and he now comes onto the front straight, and Evan Byrne comes round the final corner, and he will win the Spanish Grand Prix, taking his second victory of the season. Congratulations to him. Willows comes in just behind his second. He finally takes his first points of the season. Alex Southgate's going to come home in 10th. It looks like Sontag just behind him in 11th. Disappointing race from Mercedes. Gal comes home in 3rd. He had actually quite good pace. Imagine if he didn't have that damage early on in the race. Ollie Glazebrook set to come home in 12th place. That's a pretty decent recovery, to be fair. Ollie Glazebrook has shown a lot of promise in that Caterham, which I'm still calling Lotus when it's clearly a Caterham, so I need to stop doing that. But anyway, Glazebrook comes home in 12th. Bolko will come home in a very lonely 4th place. Mackenzie will come home in P5. That's not a bad result, I guess, from Mackenzie, really. As Sean Grant will come home in 13th for Marussia. And there's Kuba, who's going to come home in 6th, with George Roke just behind him. He's been stuck behind him, I think, most of the race, Roke, so I'll be quite happy that that is over. has now Ricky Farquharson set to come home and take Sauber's first point of the season and his first point of the season as well. So at least they've got something out of what's been a pretty disastrous season. There comes Gamba and Thompson, 14th and 15th respectively. Robert Ionescu, I think, is the last one to come on the line, and here he is. He'll finish in 9th, but he is yet to score any points so far this season. And here comes De Rosa, who just, I don't know what to say really. I mean, he just dropped all the way to last. I've no idea what happened to him, but his pace just was absolutely dreadful. I don't really know what else to say to that. But here are the full race results. Evan Byrne wins from Joseph Willers in 2nd, Miklas Gal 3rd, Florian Volker 4th, Mackenzie in 5th, Kuba 6th, Rook 7th, Ricky Farquharson completing the points in 8th with Robert Ionescu 9th. Last one on the lead lap with the following drivers a lap down: Alex Southgate, Billy Sontag, Ollie Glazebrook, Sean Grant, Frank Gamba, Sam Thompson and De Rosa, with Wolf, Quag, Holst, Moitin, Carr and Fitzwater not finishing this race. So as we will now go to the fastest lap, that was actually set by Miklas Gal by 3 tenths ahead of Willows, Volker and then Byrne, with Holst in 5th, Mackenzie 6th, Wolf in 7th, so showed some good pace, Rogue 8th, Kuba 9th, Farquharson 10th, Glazebrook, Sontag, Ionescu, Southgate, Grant, Thompson, De Rosa, Gamba, Quag, Moitian, Fitzwater and Carr. Obviously with Moitian, Fitzwater and Carr obviously having no lap times due to their collisions they had. So anyway, here are the drivers' standings. So Volker at the moment now has a 5-point lead over Gal, as he finished in 3rd ahead of him. Evan Byrne now up into 3rd place with 25 points with that win. Holst down to 4th with 21. Mackenzie 5th with 19. Saki 6th with 12. Kuba 7th with 11. Rook 8th with 10. Joseph Willows 9th with 8. And Sontag as well with 8. De Rosa 11th with 4. Moitin, Gamba and Farquharson both all with 2 points. Thompson with 1. Glazebrook with 1. And Wolf with 1, with the following drivers not scoring any points so far: Robbie Ionescu, Omar Carr, Zachary Fitzwater, Roman Quag and Sean Grant. In the constructor standings, Red Bull have got a comfortable lead. They've got a 23-point lead over McLaren in 2nd, Lotus in 3rd with 29, Mercedes 4th with 20, Ferrari 5th with 19, Force India 6th with 4, Williams with 2, Torosso with Williams with 3, I should say, Torosso with 2, Saab with 1, Caterham with 1, so I think actually that's a bit mistake there. I think Farquharson only has 1 point and he's got 2, Caterham with 1 and Marussia with 11. And that is it for the Spanish Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Actually, certainly a better race than many people were expecting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to, as usual, vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we will see you for the next round, the Monaco Grand Prix. So we will see you there.